I wasn't in love with myself, so I didn't understand how to love somebody else in a bigger capacity, nor did I understand how to set the bar higher for somebody to love me. So all the love was super low. There's a video I came across on my TikTok in my drafts that is so crazy from 2020 before all this had happened, but I think I was depressed at the time. I think I was just at my lowest. And there's a draft that I saw that is me like holding the camera and it's like shaking. I'm never going to share it, I don't think. But it's like me shaking and I'm literally crying. And I literally am saying like, I'm making this video because I want to learn to like myself and I just don't like myself. And then it just cuts off.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's the word, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today we got a very special guest here. I got a fucked up ass haircut now. I told people they got me looking like the 2014 version of Prince Royce, and I'm very upset about it. This is not okay. But anyways, we got a very special guest here, right? We got a creative director. You've done a bunch of really cool shit, right? You be doing work with Zay and RTD. Not officially signed, but we'll see.
Not yet.
We'll see one day.
I feel like it's coming soon.
Creative director for Drew The Kiiid. You've worked with Vic Mensa, man, and the owner of Daily Vision.
3 eyes. Triple.
Introduce yourself before I ask why.
Okay, well, my name's Ray. I go by therealraeven. And yeah, I'm the founder of Daily Vision.
So why 3 eyes? And this was before Drew The Kiiid.
It was, which is how Drew The Kiiid and I became close, was through the triple eyes, finding each other. I literally don't know why Daily Vision has 3 eyes. Daily wasn't even, when I first started taking photos and like making the collages, putting them side by side, there wasn't even like text on them, or it'd be like the artist's name on it. And then one day I edited a photo and I put Daily on it. This was just typing out of boredom to work on practicing spacing my letters to place them on photos to see how spacing looked. So I just chose the word Daily. Maybe someone said it around me, I don't know. And then I kept that for like a little while because it looked cool. And then I just randomly one day added Vision with 3 eyes. And that's the whole story.
So what's the significance behind it? What does that mean to you?
Everybody goes through shit every day. Everybody is doing something. Like your path seems so purposeful and busy and crazy. And you forget that every single person around you is like on the same crazy trajectory. And it's like staying your purpose. What's your daily vision? Like, what's your big thing? And I just slap it across every artist. Like, everybody has a daily vision. That's like your weekly vision, your life vision.
I remember I said this one time.
Okay.
It's kind of fucked up. Like,
Can't
you
wait.
be thinking you're the main character, right?
Yes.
Every day you wake up and you're like, my problems are the most important. Everything that I got going on is the most important. And we forget that there's people living around us that have everyday life problems or everyday life things going on.
Like the same level of yours.
And I remember somebody was like, it's like when you see somebody from high school ends up pregnant or is having a kid, like they're a whole side character in your story, but they're having a main character problem for real. Or they're having a main character arc.
Yeah.
And they're just like a tiny piece of your life. You know what I'm saying?
That's how it is.
So when I think about that, you know, like you say with Daily Vision, it's really like you said, we all got something going on. The problem is that we forget that everybody else outside of us has a life. And sometimes that impacts the way that we treat people.
Yeah, definitely.
What is it about your Daily Vision that pushes you to continue to pursue this?
I mean, I love my brand. I like that it's called Daily Vision. My like first obsession with the whole, it's like branding. Like I like just making stuff that looks like a magazine. That's why I shoot the way I do. That's why I lay the stuff out the way I do. That's why I even put text on it and don't just take photos like a photographer does and just post them. Like I love the way that Viiision looks. And I like the way that Complex looks. Clearly, because Daily Vision's like a similar font. But I just had to find my own wording. So I don't know. I just like making stuff that looks like a magazine. And every time I shoot, I want it to be crispier, more vibrant. I'm more intentional. And so every time I shoot, I just try to get better and better at that.
But even outside of the brand, right? Because Daily Vision is more than just a brand. When you create a brand, it becomes you. So there's a purpose, right? And just like...
Well, like, okay, so Daily Vision, every time I have it, I always have 222 is like the stamp on it, right? I have 222 like on me. I wear 222. Like it's always like Daily Vision, part of my brand, like timing is always on time. Everything is absolutely always perfect. everything is like you give up. You just have faith in every moment and you give up trying to dictate everything. It's like you just fall at the mercy of what's existing around you in present time. And like, that's how you stay on the perfect path every day. So I think that me living in that truth makes my brands more genuine and authentic. And it makes my brand and myself like one thing. So when people do see me, a lot of times, like, they'll be like, are you the Daily Vision person? It's not even my name. But it's like, clearly my brand looks good, but the way that I carry my brand looks good.
It's crazy when you choose a name for your brand and you end up becoming that person, huh?
I was at the gym earlier with my friend, and I was telling him that I was working out like a couple of months ago, and I was recording it because I do sometimes, but I was like in the zone, like breathing all crazy. And somebody walked up and was like, "Are you the real Raven? Like, are you the Daily Vision person?" And I was in the middle of lifting, and I was like, I said hi to him and stuff. They were another photographer, but I mean, it's the brand gets recognized. Like,
I think for me, like, right, because it's Sad Boy Radio, I did not realize how many people would just start calling me Sad
I
Boy
do,
after
I
that.
did.
Yeah, see,
So-
I didn't think about it. So now every time I meet somebody or I'm out and about, they're like, "Oh, you run that podcast, right? Sad Boy,
yeah, I
Sad Boy
call you Sad
Radio."
Boy in my
Yep,
head.
that's what everybody calls me, and I don't got a problem with it. It's just like when I created it, I didn't realize how far the brand would go to where it became like what people know me as. But I want to take it to Drew real quick because
Oh,
we're
sure.
gonna break this down. We're gonna
Okay.
break down a lot of things.
Okay.
But Drew the Kiiid, that's my boy, right? He's one of the first artists where I genuinely felt like it was just a vibe.
He does that to a lot of people.
How did that connection come about with you guys?
We talked about this. He said, I did a lot of times what I'll do just for fun. And what tends to take off a lot on my social media is me recreating covers of artists that already exist. And I recreate a lot of Lotto covers. So I redid a Lotto cover of her laying on a bed of money, but I did it of myself. And it took off and Drew saw it. So Drew didn't realize that I was the girl in it, like laying on the bed. So he was trying to find out like who shot that. And then he and I started talking. He realized like I was Daily Vision and the three eyes. And I was like, then I'm thinking that he copied me because he has Drew the Kiiid in his name. We're like, wait a second, do we both have triple eyes? We started talking about it and he was like, basically DM me at first. This was, I think we're coming up on 2 years on January 1st of me being his creative director. But he was like, do you think that you could just maybe teach like a team how to take photos of me the way that you take photos of people? Just teach them kind of how to do what you do. And I got mad and I was like, no, you can hire me. I'm like, I'm not going to teach people for you. But I was like, I can work with you. And then we just met at like a coffee shop, I think. And his manager, Angel, talked for a little bit. And he's like, do you want to just like try a shoot together and see how it goes? And then that was 2 years ago. And they forced me into the title of creative director because I never called myself that.
Angel's such a character.
Oh, dude. If you know that whole little like Tweedledee and Tweedledum in the best way possible.
For real. See, I've never seen them in action for real
Really?
together. Like, I met Drew the first time when he did the interview, and that was damn near 2 years ago. If not
Crazy.
2 years ago, a little more, like a little over.
It has to be. I don't think I knew him even when he did that.
I met him and I met Angel at the same time. And oh man, I told him this too. The first time I ever hit Drew, because you know Nico.
Yeah.
Nico, all right, I'm gonna break this down real quick, right?
Okay.
I met Nico at T-Mobile when I worked at T-Mobile. This was
Okay.
before I started the podcast. So
Okay.
I think we were probably recording it at this point, but nothing was out. So I had told him, I was like, hey, I just started a music podcast, like yada, 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 right? And he's like, oh, you should check out Abel. So he showed me Abel, right? I don't even know which one I interviewed first. I think it was Abel, then it was Adam, then it was Johnny Carter, then it was Nico. And then after that, like, because I'm building up, I don't know who's who. They're like, all right, try. I think it was either P or Drew that they told me. They probably told me both at the same time. I connect with Drew. I reach out to Drew. Mind you, I probably have like maybe under 1,000 followers at the time, maybe a little over. Drew probably had like 2 or 3. I don't know. I reach out to him. He's like, yeah, hit my manager. I'm like, this motherfucker, bro.
And how old was he? He was so young too, running his mouth at that time.
Like, yeah, we were like 21 each. 21, 22. I'm
And
like,
you had to go to Angel?
yeah, I'm like, bro, what? Hit my manager. I genuinely felt some way at that point. But then I met him and, you know, Drew's like chill as fuck. So I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, bro, I'm not gonna lie. I told him, I was like, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little salty when you said hit my manager. He's like, yeah, you know, it's just kind of easier for me to direct everybody to him and he can set everything
It's
up.
funny that you and I both got annoyed with him a little bit first, like the first interaction. But something about him makes you like stick around, clearly, because I've been here 2 years later.
Yeah, I know, right?
They're so easy. They're so funny. Like I get along with them. We just crack up the entire time we work. So it's easy to stick with them.
You know what's actually
Okay,
funny?
okay.
My bad, because it's
Okay.
about you, right? What's actually funny
Okay.
is the reason I work for ASM is because I met the girl who hired me at ASM at Drew's music video shoot for
Look how this is
Knievel
all-
Stunts.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah. And I remember because I don't even know how I started talking to her. I think I just started talking to her. And she's like, yeah, I work for ASM. I was like, oh, I think I was just graduating college. Who the fuck knows? I don't remember. I was like, if you guys got openings, let me know because I'm trying to get a job, like for real, for real. She's like, I would love to start a podcast program. I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean?
I didn't realize you went that far back in depth with Drew.
He's the homie. Yeah, he's the homie. But I just never see him.
He never comes. Well, he lived in the suburbs for a long time.
So going back to you, you mentioned previously when it comes to working with artists, you already want not necessarily a finished product, but a vision of what the finished product should be. What was it about Drew that had drawn you to that?
At that time when I met Drew, that's when I was like not as established as I am now. So I was like bopping around the city, working wherever I could, whenever. So I was working with some crazy people. Like I was working with little artists up to bigger ones. And then I met Drew. So I had this entire like array of people to compare to Drew. And Drew's level of like his plans, his plans to execute them, and his seriousness, especially for his age, were vastly different than everybody else I was working with, including the celebrities I had already been in touch with. So like I had worked with so many smaller people and I was working in studios. So working with those artists in there, and you know how people can be like, they have big dreams, like I want to do X, Y, Z. And it's like, okay, well, do you know the money that you need for that? Do you know the marketing you need for that? Do you know that you need a team to be doing that? Like, have you thought about any of that? And then you don't see them again in the studio for 2 days. And then they come, like, it's just chaotic when you're working with all different artists. I was still making money shooting them, so it was whatever. But when I met Drew, and again, our first meeting is a very formal, him and Angel and myself, it was just completely different. And I was like, okay. And he was young. He didn't drink or smoke, which is a big thing in this industry, right?
Does he still not? Can you?
He says he took a shot at Soho House and got buzzed the other day.
I don't know if you could confirm or deny that.
Even we seriously talk about it a lot, and he'll say like, I all that stuff will come after we make it. We do not have time to be like partying and acting up. Like he works 24/7. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna give him a chance no matter what because he's a cool artist. I had already, like creeped on his music and all that. So I'm going to give him a chance because I think the visuals are going to be good. But then literally fell in love with the friendship with them because I just know the big things Drew is going to do. And Angel like is so focused too. And that just kept me like tied in. And our sense of humors are exactly the same. So that helps. But he's so different than any other artist, clearly, because I've been with him for 2 years. And he doesn't write anything down.
You're lying.
I swear to God, he doesn't write anything down. He just gets in the booth and just makes stuff. And it sounds really good.
Kama Sutra is still probably my favorite song. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I like them a lot. Like every time I go, so last night, all I did was ask Drew to just slide with me to a studio for a meeting unrelated to Drew. And what does it turn into? A project that Drew's a part of now. That Drew's like sitting there like asking me a bunch of questions about, when we were talking about the box thing, like the lighting, he's talking about building funnels. Like we need funnels and we need one for like New York, LA, London, like just for fun. Like he's just doing all this. Not many people are just going to sit and do that. It's like educating me as
What's the project?
I'm not telling you.
Talk about it?
No, not yet. It's through another studio, another producer's thinking about doing a visual project that
Mhm.
he wants me to be a part of and
Mhm.
Drew. But I would wait. I would prefer to wait until that comes to fruition.
Well, yeah, because
Because sometimes
every
things don't.
everybody always has ideas.
Mhm.
The main thing is executing them,
Yeah.
right?
The people involved are good ones. So I have faith.
And that's what I was just talking about with somebody. We just did a podcast the other day. Somebody interviewed me. But a lot of the times people start something and they don't realize the work that it takes to make it successful, right? They think that they're going to start and automatically their life's going to change overnight. That shit does not happen.
It doesn't.
I thought that shit was going to happen.
We all thought it.
I thought it was going to take me a year and I would have, an established thing going.
Mhm.
I had an established thing going. I just didn't make no money off of it. So
We've all definitely been there. We still have our seasons.
So one of those established clients that you were able to work with, or those celebrity clients you were able to work with, was Vic Mensa.
Vic was my first one. That just happened randomly. And that was 2022. That was when I first started on my own, like Daily Vision. I just woke up in the middle of the night to get a drink of water, and I don't even check my phone in the middle of the night, but I clicked it and I had a text from this DJ that I used to shoot for, and she was like, "Can you be at the studio at 10 a.m. To shoot Vic's cover?" And she's like, "I need to know." Like, she sent that text out to 4 different photographers, and I answered in the middle of the night. Yeah. Imagine if I hadn't, a lot of my work would be, like, a lot of things would be different. But I was like, I thought I was dreaming. Like, you know what I mean? Like, rubbing your eyes. And I answered, yeah. And then I couldn't go back to sleep. Like, I was so excited.
You didn't sleep the rest of the day?
You know when you're trying to lay and it's like sleep that's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, like it's like toss and turn? Yeah, so I kind of had that, and I got up and got ready, and I still thought it was too good to be true. And then I just rolled up to the studio, and Vic was standing outside just waiting to let me in.
What did you learn from that opportunity?
I was very quiet at that time, like super, super shy. I barely spoke while I was there. And like, I didn't even give him direction for anything. Because when I walked in, it was supposed to be shooting the cover for Vino Valentino, I think, this album. I'm pretty sure it's what it's called. They didn't end up using my shot. So they used someone else's. But when we walked in, nobody briefed me. I had no rundown of what I was doing. I was just told to show up and sit and wait for Vic to tell me like he was ready.
That's it?
And I was just sitting there like, okay, like with my camera waiting. He was finishing up the album, so I got to sit in the studio for that, like the finishing touches. And then he's like, all right, let's go shoot. And we like went into this basketball room, like a little basketball court. And he just posed against the wall a couple times. But I was like too afraid to talk. So learning what I've learned from that, now I'm much louder. Like when I go in somewhere, like I have to take up space. Like I can't just go and blend in. Not to say that he would have chose my shot if I was louder, but my networking with Vic would have been better, and his producers or engineers or people in the room if I wasn't afraid to talk. But also I knew I was good enough because I wasn't like visually, because I was in there. I just need to find it like mentally.
I think it's still a problem that I run into, right? Even with bigger artists, sitting down and having a conversation. Honestly, I can't remember the last person I was afraid to talk to.
Isn't that cool?
It was probably Rashawn Holmes because he's
Yeah.
an NBA player. And
When do you think that changed in this process of like having this?
So it changed when I started to feel like people were only coming for a specific experience, right? So even the bigger people, when they reached out, they'd be like, yo, I like what you're doing. Like, let's sit down and let's do this, right? And I think the hardest part sometimes is handling the formalities. So like sending out the agreements and letting them know like the proper steps that I need afterwards. Because being the business and being the person that has to sit down and ask you like about your deepest, darkest secrets isn't like the easiest process, right? Because now you look at me as the guy that just is trying to get a reel. Like I'm not trying to get a reel. I'm here to have a conversation with you and show the world like who you are outside of your business, right? So I think that it all really changed when I understood like sometimes people are just coming here to talk. Sometimes people just want that clip. And something that was hard for me was understanding that sometimes it really is just business. Like people just want to come here for that clip.
I would assume that of a lot of the people at this point people think it's so cool to be on this now. You know what I'm saying? I think it's so cool.
Don't get me started on the bad experiences.
I'm so
I was
sure.
just telling him about shit.
But those bad ones have to happen for you to like build this properly and restructure it and, to grow for the next one. Like when it's crazy when you start to, because obviously I'm sure you remember a time before you were doing this where if you were on the street in Chicago and you saw a celebrity, your heart would probably start racing a little bit. You know what I mean? When you're not somebody that was ever in this industry before, that would be like, oh, what do I do? Like, I saw Mick Jenkins on the street one time before I was even in the music industry. He was just staring in the window downtown on State Street. I was like shaking. The guy I was with, we went up and he like dapped him up, said hi. We just had went and seen the Waters tour like days before, and saying hi to him, freaking out. I have no problem. Like if Mick Jenkins called me today, I'd be like, what up? Like, when are we shooting? You know what I mean? Because I think I just got to a point, and probably for you too, where you're just like, every single person was exactly me at one point. All of us just continue to push and do this. And like, no, I don't look at anybody as intimidating to me.
I don't think it's intimidating. I feel like more so like I just don't want to bother anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
I understand that everybody got some shit going on, so I don't want to be the person that's just like, yo, like, let me talk to you. Like, Saba had like a little panel thing. So that was the first time I ever met Saba, right? But I've tagged Saba in so many different things and he's seen them. And I'm like, damn, this dude's just probably annoyed of me at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because I've interviewed so many people he knows.
oh, no, I don't know. What if he's just waiting for like the right place, right time? Like in his life, it's just not. Well, also, what if he knows the way that you interview people and talk to people and he's like, that seems like a cool experience, but I personally, as cool as I may seem, I'm not ready for that either. Like,
I'm just saying, I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't want to bother people. But something I was thinking about earlier was that there was a time where people sent me off. Like, I had an interview set up that day and they just never texted me like, yo, can't make it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, like, not to say that would never happen again, but like, I don't think most people would ever do that to me
I
like
don't
that.
think so. I
You know
think
what
you're
I'm
past
saying?
that.
No, we're definitely past that. From what I think. But
Yeah.
to think that that was a thing, like, all right, my bad. We're getting too far into
No.
something else that we're gonna get into,
dude,
right?
I've been there too. I think about how many times I was left on red. Are you kidding me?
Like stood up like that. That shit was crazy. But even at that point, that wasn't even the point where I wanted to quit the most, which is the craziest part to me. And wanting to quit on this journey, right? It's such a prevalent thing. It's
Mhm.
something that each of us have gone through. Whether it's at day one or it's 3 years down the line and you're like, fuck, I'm tired of doing this. What you talk about with daily vision, even when you're struggling, you continue to pursue, you continue to go after it because that is your daily vision. What is it about creativity that fulfills you that you continue to chase even in those down moments?
One of my favorite quotes ever is, "The only way out is through." And every day is gonna pass anyway, so you may as well do something on it. So like, I can choose, because like I think being creative is like a necessary outlet for everybody, whether or not it's like photos or whatever else. But like people that just aren't creative need to be. And I'm like, if every day is gonna pass anyway, and I got to go through shit anyway, why don't I just create while I do it instead of just going to work, coming home, going to bed, doing nothing? Like, I don't know, all that time in between, like once I get in the zone on my computer and get crazy going into color, and then all of a sudden the color gets super vibrant and the clarity's up, all of a sudden that sparks an idea for something else, leads me down a wormhole to somebody else, then I'm contacting someone. Like, I don't know, it's like an intertwined big web that, why would I stop doing that if I have the ability to do it and I've been doing it? I don't know if that makes sense out loud, but
No,
it
it
does in
does
my head.
because it's like when I edit a video raw as fuck, I'm like, damn, I'm raw as shit at what I
Yes.
do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And when I get that feeling, I'm like, all right, let me move on to a new project.
Yes.
And then eventually you just kind of get tired and stop. But
Yeah, but it's a good tired. It feels like you're a little kid when you play outside and you come home like super, super just worn out at the end of the day. Like, it's that kind of tired. That's the best tired.
man, sometimes this shit feels like working out. You know how you don't want to be working out, but then you go do it and afterwards you're like, damn, that shit was hard. That
Yes.
shit
That's
felt
like
good.
after a hard editing session.
Literally.
So the days are going to pass anyway. If I'm good at creating, then I may as well take up time creating. Because otherwise, I'm just going to sit and watch Netflix or something.
I'd be mad at myself, low key,
Why?
when I just be like doing nothing.
Oh, I thought you were going to admit something. Okay.
No.
No, that's
When
that's
I do nothing,
great.
I'm mad at myself.
Me too.
But
But is it good? I don't know.
I've been fucking up a lot lately. I'd be sitting there scrolling, just doing
I
nothing.
know.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to put a lock on your phone? Like a
I'll turn that shit off.
Me too.
It
It
don't
lasted
matter
no
to
time
me.
at all.
Yeah,
Okay.
It won't matter to me.
I was hoping you had better advice from me because
No.
I'm incapable of doing it.
No, I have no, man. I be so tired, but it really be like a tired that I like imagine myself to be. You know, because when you say you're something, like you end up being that thing. So I always say every day, I'm like, damn, I'm tired as fuck. But really, I'm not that tired. I'm just like being lazy. So call myself tired.
We all do that though.
Yeah. So through this journey, right, talking about periods where you struggle, those moments you want to quit. What's been one of the most difficult things you've had to deal with throughout this journey?
Probably any idea I ever had, like when I was younger or growing up, saying like when I get older, I'm gonna be this or I'm gonna do this. None of that has gone ever according to plan. um, I'm from Detroit. I've been here like 11 years now. Um, my life when I moved here versus my life now. My life when I moved here with a significant other. I moved here to go back to school for a second college degree. I was going to school to be a therapist. I was working in restaurants. I was an event manager running restaurants and then opening a restaurant. I owned a restaurant in River North.
You owned a restaurant?
I've been in the restaurant industry for 17 years.
Damn.
When I was younger, I owned a restaurant. So my whole life, I did not create. I didn't know anything about the music industry, cameras. Like I had to take a Photoshop class one time. And I just had to take it because it was the only class open at 8 a.m. So I thought all that was going to be my life. I was planning a wedding. I got married. COVID happened, and then my life just flipped upside down. So like, I mean, when you have all that on your plate, and then I think I was coming up on 30 at the time. So you're thinking like you're probably gonna have kids, and then your life flips upside down. And now I'm a pretty decent name in the Chicago music industry as a photographer. Like there were points in time, and obviously like the elephant in the room that changed my life was my divorce and me living on my own living alone for the first time in my entire life. That was the first time I was ever single in my whole life at 31 or 32. Right? Never ever paid my own rent, never lived and my whole family's back in Michigan. And my ex and I have nothing. Like it's been years now. So it's just me. So I was like, oh my God, like, okay. I was a photographer at that time because he and I owned a recording studio, like in Fort Knox, actually. And so I was doing media a little bit, but I was like, okay, either I go back to Michigan and move in with my sister and help take care of like her baby and just live there. I said this into the mirror. I'm like, or you get your shit figured out and you figure out how to pay rent by yourself and start hustling because you got to make one or the other happen. And you know you're going to be so sad if you have to do that other one. That is a really low point to be in a house that was once loud and then it's quiet and you're by yourself being like, okay, like this is nothing like I planned even 2 years ago, but I guess we're going to make this work.
After leaving a situation that you wanted to separate yourself as far away as possible from, right? People tend to blow up their lives. They tend to get rid of every single piece of what was that they shared with somebody. I've experienced this. I watched somebody blow up everything, and I realized this recently, right? Because for me, I had to maintain certain things, right? Me having this podcast, that was already a thing, right? But throughout that, it still has pieces of a person that I once spent so much time with. I can't just blow that shit up, right? Now, for somebody else, they were able to blow everything up. They were able to completely cut everything off and restart. And that's the easy part, right? Because then you don't ever have to think about it again. For you, you stayed in a situation, you stayed in a setting that you shared with somebody that you were with for that long. Why stay in that setting?
When I first moved into my house I'm in now, that Daily has become the brand it is, like in that space, shooting a lot of stuff in there. I wrote the landlord an email during COVID being like, look, we are artists. Like this space is going to make my art take off. Like I wrote this cheesy ass letter to even move in there. And the landlord was like, okay, like whatever, just move in. So I already said that. But like, I loved that space. I knew the potential of my space, and your physical spaces you're in can be very different based on who's around you. So I knew that if I just had that place to myself and I knew how much I was growing and the work I was putting into myself, I knew that my physical space was going to reflect that. I believe a lot in like cleansing spaces. I believe a lot in cleansing myself. So I knew, I'm like, I moved in here intending on this place being my home for a long time, and I know it's still going to be my home. I just need it to be all my energy. Because like the people around you, your space is always a reflection of you, whatever you're going through at that time. As pissed off as you're going to get at who you're in a relationship with or family or anybody, like everything is a reflection of you. So if I just figured myself out, then my environment will fall in line with all that.
How did you manage to complete that reset?
Well, I'm still doing it. I am not in a, I mean, I'm a healed person as far as the relationship. That is my hands washed of it. And that I'm saying, but as an individual, because when you're in a relationship all of your 20s, so 21 to 30 years old, my entire life was somebody else. So you're codependent, which I said before, like being codependent on someone, being codependent on their schedule, your family, all that. Like, when you break like all that, you have to break down levels and levels. And I'm still working on that.
It's finding that new normal.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, right?
You're
Is that sometimes you have to blow it all the way up. And I say that because I know that I couldn't, right?
Yeah.
And because I couldn't blow it all the way up.
You're saying blow it up, like leave it? Like, are you saying like crash out? Or you're saying like,
no, not like
just
crash
leave
out.
everything
Just
and be like,
leave-
I am starting fresh?
Literally.
Well, that's what essentially my ex got to do. Like, left the space, went to a new space, went to a new job, went to a new environment, went to new everything. Like, I just knew, I swear I knew in my soul, I was like, this is so deep. This work is going to, it's like I always knew I needed to fix this codependency stuff and this relying on other people for my happiness stuff. So I was like eager for the journey. And I was like, this is going to be so rough. But I'd already gone through a divorce. I'm like, how much worse I've already felt like shit. Like, so now at least I know that feeling like shit has a purpose for just me. So I knew that there was no reason to throw all of it away. I had such faith in myself that if I just locked in with me and started being like, okay, let's do some shadow work. Let's start breaking down like these walls. Like, you don't like the way it feels, too bad. Like, figure out why it doesn't, or you're going to go another 30 years masking it. Like, it was super, I knew what I was getting into by staying in certain places because I knew I was going to be at this point that I am right now.
So you talk about being healed, right?
Yes.
What did it take to get there?
Okay, it's a roller coaster because I did a lot of crazy stuff too. Like,
don't incriminate yourself.
I know, no, nothing like that. But I'm saying I was like partying a lot. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you're a teenager that just moves out of the house for the first time. Like, I was going crazy partying. I was out every single night at a show. I was staying in the studio till 8 o'clock in the morning. I was booking people back to back to back. I was just hustling.
But do you feel like that actually helped keeping yourself so busy?
No. But at the time when you're going through the phases of healing, I was thinking like, see, now I'm like hustling. See, now I'm really doing it. Like, I wasn't doing stuff before because I was depressed because I was going through all that. Now I'm independent. Now I'm like, and at the time, that hustling felt like that was healed, right? But then you get 6 months down the line. And now I'm slowing things down a little bit. I went back to bartending. So now I'm in a job and I'm starting to look at like, when I clock in and make money, it's a little bit different than when I'm hustling in studios making money. So I was like, now I'm healed. No, then 6 months. Like every couple of months, I look back and be like, you thought you were healed. I was just taking another step up. But I'm still not fully healed today, you know what I'm saying? But I'm certainly much better than I was before. And no, working a lot was not the answer. But at the point you are at in your healing journey, you feel like that's healing. Or you feel like you're healed.
I think that sometimes we compare our healing journey. And even if we're not closely watching what somebody else is doing, you have an idea, right? You hear rumblings, you see something. Like you're comparing yourself the whole time. So you think, I got to keep up. I don't know if this is how you felt. This is how I felt.
Yeah, but when I first started, I wasn't even like, I was so equally distraught over my life falling apart, but at the same time excited that my life fell apart. that like I had like horse blinders on. Like I wasn't even like looking at what everybody else was doing. And when I was starting out, I was super humble about like I thought I wasn't shit. Like when I saw other media people around me, I would like geek out meeting them like it was a celebrity because I was so excited.
You used to be fanning out over these media people.
Yeah, I used to be fanning out for media people. So I was like never confused that I wasn't like comparing myself to everybody because I was so I don't know how to convey it. I don't know how to put it in words right because I was just super excited to be on my own. So it's like I literally didn't care about anybody around me.
But here's the thing: I'm not talking about everybody around me, right? I'm talking about the person that you separate yourself from, right?
Oh, you're talking about like the person I was with? Oh, I knew that I was going to springboard. Like I knew that my mental health was suffering at the mercy of the situation I kept myself in.
I think your situation's a little bit different, though. From what you've told me, I think your situation's a little bit different.
Maybe. I mean, how so?
What was it about the situation that you found to be so detrimental?
I was married to somebody who was in the industry. Like we were like a duo team. I was married to a videographer. I was a photographer. I was married to a producer, an engineer, an artist. Like, I mean, not all they're all the same person. Not 5 different marriages. But I was married to somebody, owned a studio, throwing shows all the time, traveling around the country, shooting music videos. Like, got me into doing this, got me.
But what was it about the relationship that was so detrimental to your mental health?
I am a naturally incredibly optimistic person. I see the light in everything. I see opportunity in everything. I'm never discouraged by anything. And I was with somebody who was the polar opposite of me. And I have grace for mental health issues and what people are going through, but I felt like it was always just an excuse. Like, you're never going to understand me because I suffer from X, Y, and Z. You don't. But for how many years are you supposed to do that? It was like the optimistic part of me was like screaming to get out. So I wasn't a good person either at the time, like as years went on, I can admit like I became a shitty person in that relationship too. But then when you're in a relationship, it's already going like that. And then I was cheated on was the whole reason I got divorced. And even after I was cheated on, I stayed with them for a year trying to work on stuff. And it became a problem mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially that I just literally woke up one day and said, like, you physically need to get away from me. Like, it's unsafe. After everything happened that initially me being cheated on, we stayed together for a year. Me finding out that news, like the classic, like, hey girl DM. I locked in with myself. I started trading. That's when I found the stock market, literally weeks later. Okay, that's my whole life. And then I got in the gym I was an athlete like my whole life. And then I stopped going to the gym in that relationship, like fully let myself go. I got in the gym and got completely like back in shape, crazy shape. Like, and then I went to therapy. I started seeing a therapist and I was the only one out of us doing that. And that therapist was like, every day would be like, or every week, like, what are you doing? Like, I just want to make sure you're aware of the situation you are keeping yourself in. So I was growing the whole year. I was going like one way. And I think my growth was just not good for the other person. And they went the other way.
Because they start to resent you in a sense.
Yeah, started to resent me. And then here I am with resentment that goes back how far too. So we're like, and then now I'm just like letting things go and being free because I'm worrying about myself. And now they're realizing, holy shit, they don't even care anymore. So that made them, that last year was just crazy.
Shout out therapy.
Dude. So there was a point in time my therapist was like, I'm not going to lie. He's like, you probably don't need to come anymore. He's like, you know what you're doing. You know what you need to do. You can sign back up and all this if you need me. He's like, we don't need to talk. Like, I want to make sure you know, I'm telling you as a therapist, you're a sound person. You don't need to come to me. Like, you're being gaslit into thinking and living the way you do. And just by talking to you, I know that you know better and you're capable of fixing this and getting out of this.
What was it that kept you in this situation?
My parents started dating when they were 12 and 14. They had me when they were 19 and like 20. Like, I watched my parents, they're still together, be together forever through everything, even when they probably shouldn't have been, most likely. And then I get in a relationship young. So I've been like conditioned, probably subconsciously, to stay. And I had never been single, I said. So like that wasn't even a thing in my head. I didn't know how fun that was gonna be.
Yeah, I see the DMs.
Oh, aren't they so funny?
Oh,
I swear I have like a collection.
just so you know, don't ever DM her.
I have one guy that's like, I'm not, if you want to talk to me, you need to call me. He's like, you're not catching me in any more screenshots.
You know what though? I used to tell people that I'm like, I'm gonna end up in the group chat, and this. You know what? I'm a like
But
I
it's
said,
not even-
but like I said, used to, right?
Yeah.
This is why I used to use Snapchat all the time.
Yeah.
When
Oh,
I
the
was
screenshot
when
thing,
I
I
was
made the mistake
21,
before.
22, I'm like, nah, hell no, you're not putting me in no group chats.
Well, you know what? You guys say some stupid stuff. So
Listen, it's not even
I should
about
say you guys.
It's not even about no, I probably say some stupid shit too, but it's not even about saying stupid shit. It's about the fact that, listen, I don't want nobody knowing my business, especially like your friends. Like, I don't know those people.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about me? Why is my message to you ending up in the group chat? There's just no need for that. I don't know.
It's okay.
I don't be
Oh, the
telling
people
them-
I like super fuck with that. I mean, I don't post those kind of people. Those stay off the radar. So
just check the girl group chat. It's all in there. It's all in there. It's all in there.
It's fun though.
I always love this analogy, right? Because when it comes to relationships, once something breaks one time, it's like I use this glass shattered, right? Once something breaks one time, there's a crack in the glass, right? And with that crack in the glass, if you move close enough, you don't see the crack no more. So it's like everything that had gone wrong, it didn't go wrong because you can't see the issue. But another thing happens, and another thing happens, and another thing happens, right? And now you got 4 cracks. And even then, you could still like find a little hole where like you could still find that little like purity, right? But more cracks start and they start to spider web, and you can't do anything but see the flawed version of what it is at that point. So when you have that flawed version, now it's like all the issues that you ever had, all those things that you thought didn't matter or they weren't impacting you subconsciously, now that's all you can see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
So and this is what we talked about on this other podcast, that I don't necessarily feel like I presented what I felt in the best way. So I want to clarify right now, right? It's that being in a situation like that, it causes you to take that 1 foot out and leave 1 foot in. And you stay in a situation knowing that you shouldn't be in it anymore, but there's that comfortability that you find in it because that's your home, right? Like you said, being with somebody for that long, there's these things about that relationship that remind you of not only what it once was, but it reminds you of who you once were. So it takes you back to a time where you felt whole, where you felt pure, where you felt like there was that innocence. And especially when it's somebody that you grew up with. This person has seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and has continued to love you in a sense throughout all of that, right? But when there's that issues, when there's those things that you can't let go of, but that you thought you let go of, again, right? You take that 1 foot out, and even though you think that you're really 100% in, and you say, "No, I'm here, I'm good. Like, let's get it done." Once you took that foot out, it was over from the start.
I'm certainly a firm believer of it now. And I think I was then, but I wasn't saying it out loud yet. Like, you just do not hurt people that you love. Like, if you really love somebody, you're not going to hurt them. Like, you're not going. What? What do you want?
Go ahead.
For me, I'm not going to choose a human to be side by side a partner with, but then do things that compromise their happiness.
You don't actively choose to hurt somebody.
When you cheat on someone, you actively choose to hurt somebody.
But what I'm saying is you don't actively choose to hurt somebody that you love. Now, you will hurt somebody that you love, but you don't actively choose to do that.
Okay. Well, psychopaths do, I guess. But most people maybe wouldn't actively choose unless they're crazy narcissistic. But I don't want to I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to have any cracks in it or ever say, well, maybe we can work on, like, it just is. If you look at someone and say, hey, do you want to date? Yeah, let's actually date each other. You want to be partners? Yeah, let's do it. Then it's because we like each other enough to not be doing crazy weird shit to each other. And if you think you're going to go do, then just be like, hey, like, it is what it is. We had a good run. It was a great 2 weeks or it was a great 2 years, but I'm just not feeling it anymore. And that's totally okay. But don't stay there.
At what point did you realize this wasn't the love that you needed to surround yourself with?
I mean, obviously, after I was hurt, I think about it sometimes. I don't know. I think about now, like, I try to say, were there any points in that whole relationship where I ever felt like I should have been doing something else or going somewhere else or being on my own? It was just being hurt. Like, it just opened my eyes, and then I started reflecting on the whole relationship and being like, well, what other stuff that I felt weird about in my gut was because of, like, was there something going on at that time? Like, I started connecting a lot of dots over the years. And I was just so blind and in love that I didn't see or gave grace to that I shouldn't have. But obviously, after I got hurt, COVID was hard. My parents were like, my whole family was like staying together in Michigan. I was back and forth a lot. So I was seeing them a lot. I wasn't here that often. I wasn't working that much. So it put a lot of strain on stuff. But I don't know. Finding out something had actually physically like happened to me that involved other people outside my relationship was when I was like, there have to be bigger things in this world than this craziness right now. Like, I'm destined for peace and it's not here.
Why do you feel like it was you accepted so little before?
I didn't even know I was accepting so little though, because that's all I knew. So I had never had anything different. I had never ever been in love with myself. So I didn't even understand how to love. I wasn't in love with myself, so I didn't understand how to love somebody else in a bigger capacity, nor did I understand how to set the bar higher for somebody to love me. So all the love was super low. There's a video I came across on my TikTok in my drafts that is so crazy from 2020 before all this had happened, but I think I was depressed at the time. I think I was just at my lowest. And there's a draft that I saw that is me like holding the camera and it's like shaking. I'm never going to share it, I don't think, but it's like me shaking and I'm literally crying. And I literally am saying like, I'm making this video because I want to learn to like myself and I just don't like myself. And then it just cuts off. Like, you know me now and you watch me, like I'm sitting here, we're talking about daily vision. Like, that seems like a whole other person, but that's the kind of person I was in a relationship. That's the kind of person I was showing up for with myself, my friends, my family, and then my husband at the time. That's crazy. So I hated myself. How in the world was I going to expect love from anybody? That's all I knew. So I thought I thought that's as good as it got.
Where did that lack of self-love come from?
I don't know. Because I was never like that when I was younger. My family's like so cool. Like I have super cool siblings. Like everybody's like really funny, outgoing, like crazy. Like my parents are super cool. Like I don't know. Like you look at the pictures of me at 18, 19, 20, 21, when I'm fresh in Chicago. And then somewhere in the middle, I just lost myself or I got sucked into the negative energy I was of another person. I had nothing for myself. I was just codependent on like being a wife. Like I base all my happiness off them. Like, well, what are they doing? And is it going to make me happy or sad? And whatever they're doing, I'm going to base my mood off of. And I had nothing of my own. Like I didn't go do stuff with my friends. I didn't have hobbies. I didn't do anything. I was just like, this is like what being a wife is. But it also made me mean because I wasn't getting what I wanted. So then I was mean. So then it didn't even make it any better. But I lost myself somewhere in that relationship because to get to 2020 and make that video I can't even watch because I feel like sick watching it.
I'd feel sick too.
And I had platinum blonde hair.
I think a relationship will do that to you when it's not the right one.
Yeah. And that's not calling that person bad either, because at first it was easy to say, fuck that person. I don't want to ever see that person again. I don't want to know. Part of the growth and part of the understanding, I said this earlier, is like that he was a reflection of me at that time. Every year I got worse and worse. I thought worse and worse of him because I thought so little of myself, right? That's like starting to think like, oh, people are out to get me. No one's genuine to their word. No one's telling the truth. People are like slimy. Like, no, they are not. Like, that's just the shitty mindset that I was in. So then that makes other people around me shitty.
It takes accountability, right?
I don't hate him today, even though everything, but I'm saying like you become a better, higher version of yourself when you learn to give forgiveness. And like people are just going through what they're going through. Like I don't think he's a bad person. I truly think he probably is better mentally and emotionally now that he is not having me around every day too. Different road than me, hopefully far away.
No, but I appreciate the accountability aspect because that's something that we also talked about. You know, I was like, somebody had asked me, they're like, do you feel like you were unappreciated in that relationship? And I said, I don't think I did much to be appreciated for.
Mm. Did you think that during it or was that after?
So I think that it got to a point where, again, let's take it back to those cracks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That cracked glass.
Mm-hmm.
When there's so many cracks, you can only see it for what you want to see it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And those subconscious feelings that I had because of certain situations had continued to come up, had continued to arise. Now, right? Me being who I am,
Yeah.
I wanted to pin the way that I acted on somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair? No. Do I understand that this person had played a part in the reason why I was the way I was? Yes.
Yeah.
Now, there's two things that I really could have done, right? I could have actively chose to leave, or I could have actively chose to fix what my issue was, even if that person failed to take accountability. Now, that's what I could have done, right? And that's how I could have done things to know that, okay, I should be appreciated for these things, right?
Yes.
Now, what I did was this person failed to take accountability. So I felt like, well, if you don't want to take accountability, why am I going to invest certain things into you? Whether that be time, whether that be money, whether that be just performing certain actions. If I don't feel like you know what you did wrong and why you did it, and you want to take accountability for it, if you can't do that and you say you love me and you don't want to help me feel like I'm heard, why am I going to invest this into you? Is that the right way to
I
think? Is that the wrong
know.
way to think?
I don't-
That's where the issue came from, right?
Yeah.
But my issue came from how this person acted outside of that, right? One of the last conversations, they told me, they're like, go ahead, go say everything on your podcast. Paint me as the bad person. I don't care. I didn't talk about this shit for like 6, 7 months. Whole time they were slandering me across social media. So like, you were mad and you didn't want me to go talk about you. Like you said, it almost felt like a reverse psychology because they knew they didn't want me to talk about them. They knew I was going to eventually, but they didn't want me to. So what did they do? They beat me to the punch. So they started talking bad about me. I just felt like the way that I presented this on the other podcast
Mm-hmm.
wasn't necessarily the light I wanted to paint it in. Will I maybe regret the way I'm painting it now? Possibly. But that's the truth that I had to live in for X amount of months, right? Understanding that I could be better because there needs to be that accountability, but also understanding like maybe I wasn't 100% the problem, but does that mean I'm going to carry those issues into the next thing, right? And I took a Drake lyric,
Oh,
right?
great. Let me hear it.
When he says, and from time, he says, my mother is 66 and her favorite line to hit me with is who the fuck wants to be 70 and alone? You don't even know what you want from love anymore. I search for something I'm missing and disappear when I'm bored. But girl, what qualities was I looking for before?
Yeah.
And it goes back to that healed
Yeah.
aspect, right? We all want to be healed. We all want this idea of what love's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we chase it and we chase it and we get it. And it's the same thing with success, right? We get it and it doesn't feel like what we thought it felt like. It doesn't feel like what we wanted it to feel like.
Which is crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to put that intention behind it, right? Recently, I literally had to tell somebody like, yo, like, I don't want this. I don't even remember what the fuck I said. I said some shit. Like, I knew it wasn't what I felt like was right? So I cut it off because I wanted to be more intentional about what I was doing. And I didn't feel like necessarily it was the best place for me to be in. Maybe I wanted to feel like it was helping me heal, or maybe I wanted to think I was healed. And then I realized, like, oh no, like, this is making it worse.
Good to recognize that.
Yeah, this person hit me up yesterday and they're like, so like what happened? I'm like, honestly, I don't want you to feel used, and I also don't want to put you in a
Well, good
position
for
where
you
you're
being
compromising your feelings.
honest about it and not just doing it to do it.
You mentioned not being the best person before. What did you need to fix to be the Raven that we see today?
Well, definitely needed to just be on my own. In life, everybody needs to be on their own for a little bit. I didn't even know myself. I had to literally start learning myself in 2021 to now. So I still wouldn't be this version if I were still in that relationship. Or what if we would have broken up and I would have started dating someone else right away without doing this alone time? Like, I think I had to suffer on my own mentally, emotionally, and financially. And be scared on my own mentally, emotionally, and financially. And then fix it and be scared to not have people around on holidays or birthdays and stuff. Like hit like super low points and realize like, oh, the low points are not going to kill me. I don't have to freak out and hyperventilate or cry. Like everything is always going to work out. Like I think I said before too, like I was depressed definitely. And I was always thinking like if you would tell me like, oh, I really fuck with you. Like I like your stuff. My head would be like, no, you don't. Like that person's lying. Like what are they trying to get out of me? Like that's a weird, sick mindset. I don't know where that came from or why I had that. But I had to heal all that. I had to be like, oh, people around me are like telling me the truth. Like people really do fuck with me. They're not just like trying to use me. And I still do that and work on that. But like I just let go of a lot of weird misconceptions I had about people or like overthinking I had about everything around me. And everything just became peaceful fast. Like I have gratitude all the time. That definitely plays a role in who I am today. I seriously think every single day when I'm like walking down the street that everything that happens is exactly for me. Just like the stuff that happens to you throughout your day is for you. And you just say thank you to all of it. Like I miss my bus. I don't get mad. If there's another bus in 7 minutes, I'm like, oh, thank you. Because if I was on that bus, something else would have happened. So it's okay. Somebody else, that bus need to go fast. Like that kind of stuff. Just, it's literally very just peaceful now. I don't know exactly when it changed. I just woke up every day being like, do you want to feel how you felt before? Or do you want to feel how you can feel?
What boundaries do you think you needed to set?
Well, I was a people pleaser. So a lot of times I would just do whatever else anybody else wanted me to do. I never thought about myself, never took care of myself. So just starting to say like, regardless if you're a family, friend, like, or a stranger, like if you mistreat me, if you're negative, if you're not educating me, helping me grow or kind to me, then like you can't be around me. I've even done that like to family members. Like I had none of those boundaries before. I didn't know how to say no to anybody. I was like overworked, underpaid, all that other stuff.
Underworked and underpaid is crazy.
I don't know.
Did you ever do work with Taylor Bennett?
No, when we DM and talk.
Like still?
Yeah.
Really?
Just checking in, like hey, we're supposed to do work. Let's lock in soon. Hey,
He
so
hits you back?
well, it's because when I did the shoot, that Logan shoot in the water. So Logan's manager, Nikki, is best friends with Taylor. And when I did that, that's like my biggest shoot that took off. That is what, right? Taylor DM'd me and was like, we got to work. And then I had the notification that said Chance the Rapper followed you same morning.
Chance the Rapper follows you?
Do you want actually? I'm so sorry because I know we have to wrap it up. But I have to tell you when I did that shoot. This is not to be depressing, but I did that shoot in like September, or did that shoot in the summer. Pushed it out in September. We dropped, I think. My grandpa was actively like dying, so I would come here, work, and then I would go back to Michigan, back and forth, back and forth. And I went to go get on the train downtown to go back to Michigan for like last time, like seeing my grandpa like alive type thing. And I missed my fucking train. I've never missed a flight or a train ever. And I didn't get to see him. Like, I didn't get to see him. I had seen him the week before. So like I did see him then, but like I had in my head that was gonna be my last time. I didn't get to go. And I was sitting in the train station, like, so my mom was like crying on the phone. Like, she was so mad at me. And then I fucking go home and I lost my fucking house keys on the way to downtown. So I'm trying to get a hold of my Uber driver that drove me there because I don't even have an extra house key like hidden outside. Like, my leasing office wasn't open. This was 6 a.m. Like, it's the first train that leaves. So I took an Uber back up north and I sat at this Starbucks in Albany Park. And I took out my laptop to look at the markets thinking maybe I can like just drift off. I didn't have my fucking MacBook charger. My MacBook was dead. I was literally sitting in Starbucks crying. It was like this past October. And then I looked down at my phone and I had the notification. It said you have one new message. Well, I had whatever messages, but I saw that pop up and Taylor Bennett had messaged me. And then my notification, like the hearts, I clicked it and said Chance the Rapper's followed you. And I swear to God, in that moment, I was like, all this stuff that feels like it's going wrong, like things are still going right. So just chill. I was like, you just had a shitty morning, and there are not a lot of people that could say they looked down at their phones today and Chance the Rapper just followed them on their social media, which is so stupid, but at the same time, so cool.
So after going through this journey, right, from photography, being able to work with all of these big people, going through your divorce, coming out on the other end, what's the biggest lesson about self-love that you've learned?
It's absolutely unlimited. Like, so many people, I don't know if people think they're not capable of like loving themselves, or they think it's going to be hard work, or it is so unlimited. Like, when you lock in with yourself, every single thing around you just like changes. Like, I see opportunity everywhere now. Like, I feel like the world just works in my favor 24/7. Even when it's bad, it's still good. Like, I will never compromise my self-love again. You'll start to realize, like, when you fall in love with yourself, then you'll start to be like, you'll be friends with people. You have like a gut feeling, be like, they're not good for me. Like, I could tell, like, they're weird for my energy. You start dating somebody, you will not deal with shit anymore. Like, the first wrong thing, second thing, you'll be like, it's not going to work. Like, I love myself too much to like, I take care of myself too well mentally, emotionally, and financially and physically and all that to even deal with shit anymore.
I can see that.
Like,
It'd be like that.
I just told you I locked myself in my house for like 4 days at a time. Like, I'm just so chill by myself because
You just don't feel like you have the need for a lot of things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I like love hanging out with myself now. Just doing nothing and chilling with me.
Sorry, I'd be bored.
I don't know.
It might
like,
also be the age gap.
Baby. I am, well, what do you mean age gap?
I'm 25. I'd be bored as fuck.
Oh, I'm about to be 34 this weekend.
I'm not even 25. I'm 24, actually. I lied. Fuck. You know, people have been telling me, they're like, you're about to be 25. You're getting old. I'm like, damn. So now I've just kind of locked it into
You feel
my head.
bored,
I'm
like
25.
antsy? Bored?
Yeah.
Oh my God. There are nights I go to bed at 6 p.m. Like, do you know how much I wake up at like 5 a.m. to make coffee and like get my day going. I love a nursing home schedule.
You want to know how late I go to sleep?
What? If you say like 4 a.m, it's gonna make me sick.
I go to sleep at like 12.
Okay,
12,
so
1.
last
I
night
gotta
I was
wake
at the
up at
studio till
6.
12. That's, oh my God. When I go home, I just get to take a shower and light all my candles and make a cup of tea.
Yeah, I know. You be posting that shit. That should be sounding fire.
I just told you I'm supposed to go out tonight and I will be going home.
Anyways, you got anything you want to plug?
No, I mean, follow Daily Vision. Like, it's only growing. I'm open to working with a bunch of people. I'm open to, like, people keep asking me left and right if I'm doing video. I think music videos are about to be a thing, so.
Make sure you guys go ahead and check out The Real Raven on Instagram. Make sure you go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.